Yes, I did indeed leave the robot chittering. I believe. Oh, good lord, Arcades. Alright, well, the stream is starting, folks. Um, Technical difficulties. Literally a robot. You. I know, you're fine. Pause. Thank you. Stop. Por favor. Alright. Now, YouTube tells me that there may be a problem, but my bet is I look pretty. Let's find out. I think I look pretty damn good. Don't believe YouTube, it is a liar. Hello, YouTube. Speaking of, good to see you. Long time. Nice to be back. Toju, what is up? Your timing is impeccable, as always. Meantime, let's get stuck in. Yeah, somehow this thing thinks that my resolution is utter garbage, but you know what? I will be willing to bet you it's because I plugged in a second camera, which technically has a subbar resolution, but details. Who actually gives a damn? I mean, after all, here's a little preview of what it kind of looks like. Yeah, what do you think? Still grainy as hell, and I know that I shifted this thing around in ways that I probably shouldn't, but yeah. Old webcams. You know, it be how it be, but welcome back to Rennie. We're doing the thing. We're moving straight out of this bloody thing for a moment. Yeah. Because that is going to be a very fancy, fine screen one of these days. Is not presently, but you know. Now, spoiler, I have already partially tuned, so we're probably going to sound a great deal better than usual, or at least to start, so it's going to be a short tuning stream anyway. There it is. I knew it. I think those are a little high. Only a little bit. So, by the way, whilst I get this sorted, oh, I think we did it. Yeah, the little secret from today is that when I said that we're going to be getting into the holiday spirit, we absolutely are. But the holiday, naturally, is best known as the Elizabethan holiday. Because this is the time of Elizabethan music, songs, and all that random nonsense. Oh. Well, still orked in it. There we go. Much better. Oh, that's a good question. You know, actually, I need to keep my intro series for instruments going, because I started that. I have left it forlorn because of the whole data project nonsense, but otherwise, brand. So this lute is a Fletcher. Basically, that means it's made by Richard Fletcher, who is a guy who, I think he's still around. He doesn't make too many lutes nowadays. I think he retired somewhat. He lives on the Ohio-Pennsylvania border, and kind of middle of nowhere land, where the nearest house is on your horizon. We literally went out there back when I was scouting colleges for undergrad. I nearly went to Oberlin. And yeah, just on the way, that's sort of where we got the lute. And this was actually his lute in the first place. I think he wanted to play mandolin more than the lute. But yeah, it's not one of the more common names of luthiers. One of the ones I highly recommend, who I think is still very active here in the States, is Rutherford. Let me see. So, in fact, let me put that down here. Rutherford is one I definitely recommend. It is a Fletcher. Yeah. Um, there are lots of great ones. My Theorbo is an amazing one made by Ivo Magarini, but I think he's also retiring. I think there's some great luthiers in Boston that you could also go and made from. But if you're looking for like something that's a little more accessible and going straight to a maker, I highly recommend going through a lute society. Basically, a lute like if you're in the continental North America, which I think you are, if I remember correctly, they actually have a huge rental program, some pretty good lutes you can try, but they also have a lot of information to facilitate lute sales on their website. So Lute Society of America, look them up. I actually mentioned them in one of my recent sort of how to get a lute videos. I also recommend Le Luth de Ré for cheaper, like affordable but surprisingly good lutes. They're good for shipping in just some loot, but it all depends what experience you want. Do you want the sort of modern, just click the button and order a lute? Le Luth de Ré is probably Le Luth de Ré. Oh, I'm not even gonna try the French. I recommend them very highly. Not so much the Amazon lutes. Yeah. Otherwise, if you feel like talking to people, going through the Lute Society and looking up luthiers, because they will absolutely hold your hand to help you figure out what exactly you need. I always recommend a Renaissance lute to get started because it has the most sweeping of repertoires. But if you really like Baroque stuff, you can start with a Baroque lute as well. My teacher actually started that way. He went from guitar to Baroque lute, which has the FDA tuning, which is so weird but so good. But most lutenists start with a Renaissance one. Also because it gives you a nice grounding for like viola da gamba and other random instruments too. Highly recommend. But yeah, sorry, you got me started on a rant. I mean, started off on a good foot, really, I suppose, knowing me. But let's see. So what was I saying? Yes, I was saying that today we will be taking a dive into yes, the holiday of Elizabethan music, spelled properly with the classic S. My God, I miss that old font. I don't know why. I know it is inefficient by modern standards, but there's something just so romantic to me about it, just the way that it's written. I don't know why. Maybe it's the fact that I was raised by an Anglophile or something. That's probably part of it, but details and all that. So we're going to actually dive into stuff that is well recorded as actually being extremely popular music during the Elizabethan era. And we're doing it because, as I said, Shakespeare is the name of the game for the winter. And for some reason, it's always Shakespearean English nonsense. Maybe it's the fact that we're a former English colony, and so is half the world, so therefore... But I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, definitely. A 6-course is one of the best ways to go. Mine is actually something of an anachronism because it's an 8-course, and I don't think we ever found any 8 courses attested because I think they went from 5 to 6 to 7 to 9 to 10. Never technically really made 8 courses. But a 6-course is amazing, purely just for strumming potential, frankly. But yeah, that's me. I'm a little obsessed with them for that reason. But usually better spacings too. So we're going to dive first into a little offering from the Margaret Board lute book, which I'm starting to find is like a collection of all the hits. Like it's almost always the Margaret Board one, which I need to get a hold of. I have the Burwell Tudor lute book, but I don't have the board yet. One of these days. So let's hit it. It's a Coranto. In fact, you know what? Why not give you a preview of the premium experience? Oh dear, it's not quite in camera completely. Production details. What do we... Where do we go? This way? Or this way? Aha! You can kind of see that there is music somewhere. I know. Fancy, right? He's learning technology. One of these days, this will be nice, and you'll get a nice clear image of my hands flailing in more than one angle. It'll be so much fun. Let me just ease my way back a little bit. There we go. What was it? How does this one go again? We're warming up here. Cold fingers. You know what? We'll come back to this one because those are a little bit challenging to start on the Coranto. Let's start just with the comfort after all. It's a comfort stream today because I'm still recovering. That's my excuse. 11. So one of the things that I think you're going to notice with a lot of the tunes we're going through here, and yes, that was in fact this one. This one. This is so weird. It's almost a strange parallax effect with the camera. I love it. That said, I think one of the things you're going to notice is that there are a lot simpler voice lines in a lot of these. You'll see some cute little tricks melodically here and there, but there's almost no insane, like, contrapuntal nonsense. As much as we all love it, and as much as we know everybody loved it back then, it just wasn't there. Like, this is just pop stuff, you know? Kind of like Italian frottolo from, like, a few centuries before. Cheers, and thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. But we're just getting this party started because my fingers are still cold. I mean, relatively speaking, I'm actually sweating. But, you know, details. You know what I mean. So, now we'll dive into Fair Misters Disdain Me Not. Fair Masters Disdain Me Not. Again, Margaret Board, just knocking it out of the park. This one I could hear being turned into a passakai really easily, with all sorts of nonsensical and insane improvisations thrown all over it. But you hear, like, what I mean. Like, it's adorable. It's got this... It's essentially, like... Sorry for the noise. Oh, good lord. The stream cat is back. There she is. Ah, yes. She loves it too. But yeah, you could hear like the broken consort just shredding through this, right? In just some kind of passakai repetitive form. Because like they would have just like completely different, almost random instruments in a broken consort, which is like bandora, lute, viols, and all sorts of nonsense. And they just shred through it probably like that. And with the most complicated thing in here being this. I mean, it's sexy. With the with the flat nine, we all love a flat nine, but yeah, that's the height of difficulty in that one. Some of these, though, don't you worry. And I know that there are people who are tuning in. Welcome, by the way, to the Elizabethan season. Damn, I gotta make that a thing. If you're looking for something a little bit more Elizabethan and yet complicated, we have solutions for that. But it's still a little bit early in the stream to get that complicated, I think. It's sort of like, you gotta have the first and second chorus first, and then you get to the meat of the thing, you know? I know. This cat, she is the real star of the show and will outclass me any damn time she decides. She's, I know. I love this cat so much. In spite of all the bullshit she pulls. Anyhow, let's see. I want to see if we can find something that's from a non-Margaret Board source for a change. O heart berome, or heart become. My god, I wonder what this is. From the William Ballot Loop Book. How cute. See what I mean? It reminds me of some of the simpler stuff that you can play on a guitar, which is sort of like more chordy, a little bit more rhythmically invested than contrapuntally. So I don't know, I think it's just fascinating just to study this against other music. In fact, I'm going to skip ahead because I did look at this music before we actually got to it, and I found something rather interesting. It does a kind of investigation. It does a kind of investigation into the classic tune Robin, which comes from a Robin Hood tune originally. I think the earliest of which shows up in the Ballot Loop Book. Oh, they are adorable, absolutely. And that's why we love them. That's why it's the Elizabethan season. So, like, to start with the Ballot one, it goes like this. And then that gets developed differently in another manuscript. Adorable, right? Simple, but adorable. But then we get the more classic Robin showing up a little bit later in a manuscript that is only going by CUL. I know, right? It does. It reminds me of Greensleeves too. It's just that same classic ground format, right? With the original Robin Hood, 39. Then it goes further. Now here's where it starts getting interesting. So the reason is because, like, if you hear that in the beginning, just like listen to that, the whole. Does that sound at all familiar? It should, because that is closer to some of the more. how would I describe it? Lute-wise modern iterations on Robin. So that's Jolly Robin, and then it just keeps getting more and more and more iterated upon, and eventually you get to Dowland's version, which is practically that exactly. It's not actually in here, oddly enough. I'll have to pull it up. But let's go through a few more iterations. I want to take a nice stepwise approach this evening. So first we're going to finish Cool 211, whatever that is. Beautiful. Simple, but absolutely beautiful. Now, I'm excited to actually jump to this because it's going to sound really familiar. Of course, it might sound almost the same in the beginning, but this one gets drawn really out, where Robin, here, is to the greenwood gone. Recognize the tune? Absolutely got to get it in there with that trill. Yes, the trills are the moneymakers, they say. Not too fast, can't be too violinistic, but here we are. Cheers. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you enjoy. That's why we do it, after all. But you hear what I mean. That one is practically at parity with Dowland's approach to Robin. But it's interesting, right? So if we just take a split second to jump back to that little mini of Robin. It started there, a simple ground, and then it got developed a little bit more by somebody, anonymous, we don't know who, when it goes to the... making that little run up to the C up at the top, very popular. And then you go over here, and somebody who really loves counterpoint, divisions, and all that nonsense records this. keeping the jump up to the C, and then just draws it out. And then from there, Dowland takes it even a few steps further. Interesting, right? Yeah, so that's one of the things I find absolutely fascinating, just this little dive into all these different versions of Robin, because they go on even into other realms. Gets pulled and pushed into all these different directions by Ballot, Margaret, and everybody you can possibly imagine. All of the Anons. Absolutely. So that's sort of one of the things that I find fascinating about just a lot of the music that we don't have recorded. You know? How it's all been passed through a sieve of this oral tradition, which we just don't have access to. And it starts in oftentimes really simple places. I find it utterly charming. Utterly charming. One of the things that we've lost by gaining all this recording technology, right? Anyhow, let's enjoy some more of this fancy recording technology, nay, transmitting technology, and give you some interesting stuff to listen to. How about My Heart is Lifed on the Lund? And we'll follow it up finally with the My Lord of Oxford's March. That is so awkward. This is so awkward. Sometimes when I look at music like this, I'm like, this is absolutely adorable. I love it. This is, first of all, again, another reminder, always set your pace by when you look ahead and see what the fastest non-ornamental is, or what the slowest ornamental pitch rhythm is. But you have to wonder, like, how realistic is the actual entabulation here? Who actually entabulated it? And were they doing it with an agenda in a particular way? Like, I always wonder that, because it's like, who in their right mind, as a lutenist, would necessarily do this? Like, this... Actually, that... Never mind. I just figured out a really easy way to do it. I don't know. Oh, Henry VIII? Absolutely. I think they even have something of his in here. I'm not entirely sure, but... Maybe. I thought I saw it. I know I saw Greensleeves in here. But, how many, How many copyright strikes do I want to take today? I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe we'll get there. But I think we have some in here. Did actually, maybe you'll know. I wonder if people confirmed more than simply the pastime of good company. I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. Anyhow, we're actually going to just spice it up, get a little bit further in. And then in about 10 minutes or so, I'm going to hop over to some more complicated music. Whoa, scary, right? Let me move this a little bit. Woof. There we go. But, yes, as I was saying. Wilson's Wild. That's the classic old version. Again, another one that I think that Dowland, just had to remix at some point, but I completely forget. Ooh, I've never seen the Samson version. For harpsichord, huh? I actually don't know that one. But I'm going to have to give that one a try, actually, when I hit my parents' place, because they have a harpsichord. So I'm not a very good keyboardist, but I will give it a damn good shot, as you will. So, in the meantime, if you will, let's dig into a different Wilson's Wild. So a repeat, as you were. Absolutely delightful. Korean-su, welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome, welcome to what we have affectionately called the Elizabethan season. That's exactly where we're living for the next few months, one way or the other. Don't you worry, I will absolutely break it up with French, German, and hopefully something much different as well in the future. But, yes, apparently Elizabethan is the thing because we're all living in mostly formerly English colonies. Cheers, Toju. So glad you enjoy it. The applause is everything to me, and you know it. Yes. So we're just going through all the nonsensical stuff I could find that is just popular Elizabethan nonsense. But the real question, as we can see today, or not, as the lighting may have us, See, this is why this part is in beta. Now, Korinso, as you can see, we've got a whole beta test here with the thing. One of these days, I want you to be able to see the music even when I have it as like this, some piece of physical music. But we're still in beta, so patience. That's the one. In the meantime, the question is, if men do cry... thing, Tojo. Do your thing. Yeah, it totally is though. Like, forget holidays. This is where half the world gets obsessed with Elizabethan nonsense. Be it the Christmas Carol, which is totally not Elizabethan, but they call it that anyway. Or at least I've heard people do that, and it really bothers me. There's a very big difference, very big distance and difference between Victorian and Elizabethan, but I'm surrounded by Americans. What can I say? But, yeah, there's this huge obsession for it, and you know what? I'm okay with it. As I've said many times before, I was raised by an Anglophile, so sure. But, yeah, actually, you know what? Let's actually march our way back this way. Aha! Yes, I was actually looking for these. Yes, Packington's Pound. This is actually one of the ones that I think is very special. It shows up absurdly commonly in manuscripts. It's also, admittedly, something I'm biased towards. It's one of the first ones that I ever played, and I loved it. Welcome back, Toju. So, looking at a couple versions of it. Welcome back. Hope you found the phone well and in one piece. Well, if it comes in one piece. If it comes in multiple, tell me the model. I'm curious. Yeah, so this comes in... One of the great things about this little collection is that it shows you some of the different versions of things. In this one, it actually gives us two completely different keys. So, my question to myself is, am I feeling C minor or F minor? I'm feeling C minor. It's a little easier to play. That I might have regrets soon. Let's see. I could swear I've heard exactly that played in The Tudors at some point. Yes, I've watched that show. Fabulous show, by the way. Absolute delightful trash at so many points, but that's why we love it. I think same thing with Versailles, really. But yes, as I was saying, if we're to shift into F minor... Interesting. You know what? That second one was Francis Cutting, and I want to say Francis Cutting was just trying to show off. Because, I mean, or either show off, or he remembered it very poorly and was like, I'm here, let's just slap it down. So, maybe. I don't know. This would take some refinement and some work to play. But the thing that's kind of cool to notice, you're starting to see his style peek into his version, though. Because he loves those jumps. Like, he loves jumping all over the bloody map. Because, like, if we go back here, and yes, I actually pulled right to his green sleeves, for example. Like, when you get to the, where is it? There. Like, just as he goes through the second section, right? Loves those high up there jumps. And he does it again with the whole... And again at the end with the whole... Cutting. We can now say he enjoys the high ranges. So, sorry, total rant, total just off the beaten path. I know we're doing music. Y'all know why you're here. Now, I don't even have a clue as to what number I just jumped away from. It's in here somewhere. Ooh, this may be a better version of Kemp's Jig. Let's do that. Okay, I promise. We'll get to something with some actual counterpoint soon, but Kemp's Jig, and then comes a rant, and then counterpoint. Alright, it's simple. Better. The Parliament version. I don't know. I think Richard over there, Anon, is a little full of himself over there in the Berlin Musikalische something or other. I assume that's the name of it. If I had a better camera right here, then I would actually be able to show you a little bit more easily. But yeah, Kemp's Jig. So this whole night so far, I'm starting to work a theory. Now, we're going to go to something contrapuntal just because I'm getting cooped up. I want something that's a little more interesting. We're going to go to this one. Another Find with the Lute Society. Yes. That one, Fantasies and Richard Cars, Volume 1, and all that nonsense. Excellent stuff. 3 edition. Good stuff. When you get to about 1700, the English and the Neapolitan Opera School, they actually sort of have this whole push for what you could call the stile galant, or at least the early versions of it anyhow. And part of my theory of it, of course, there's the obvious theory, which is that the stile galant was largely focused around like simpler tunes, melodic stuff with an accompaniment, rather than this contrapuntal masterpiece, monstrous stuff. Because like of the rise of the middle class. Middle class did not really care as much for the nonsensically refined, like I would say nonsensically complicated stuff that the bourgeoisie did. So that's sort of my theory with that. Fairly simple, right? But they brought their music with them, is sort of my suspicion. That when you look at this stuff from circa 1600, it's a lot simpler, this popular stuff, than, say... Do we have any English in here, actually? Because if we don't, I'm actually just going to jump to some Dowland, because I feel like that would really express my point. Neusiedler, Milano, not so much. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back to our old-fashioned view, and I'm going to do this real fast, so we can actually show you. By contrast, because the internet is a powerful thing. There we go. Type, 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 type. That camera goes away. We need some Dowland up in here. So yeah, basically my theory is that the simpler popular stuff did take the fore naturally over the course of about a century because of the rise of the middle class. And also there's, you know, the comparable argument that bigger playing spaces and made people care more about volume, so the lute became a problem because it doesn't have that. Interesting. Oh. Need to look by composer, not facsimiles. Dowland, 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 Dowland. There he is. Solos. Yeah, so the thing is... What's a good one? Oh, you'll love it. I'm gonna do this one. Yeah. Here we go. Come on. And we have liftoff, kind of. Wrong one. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. There we go. I think this should work. Excellent. Why is this still here? Well, that's just silly. Okay, that's fine. I'll figure out how to make ocular work one of these days. There we go. Hang on. Man behind the curtain needs to do man behind the curtain things for a second. Here we go. Much better. Yes. So, where am I sitting? Okay, I need to pull more that way, huh? So, my theory is that, like, the simpler stuff took the fore because people did not get as much into this because it was less playable if you had a lute, and also just, like, it didn't have anything you could, it didn't have a good beat. Essentially, it had great little nuances and contrapuntal stuff that, you know, educated courtiers would care about, but that's not representative of what the people liked, as it were. So I find that whole transition from 1600 to 1700 incredibly fascinating, which is why that's my specialty. But that's a little bit too much of a rant for YouTube's for right now, I think. But, you know, more of a thesis, I suppose, or one of those long ranty videos. But you folk are here for music, so I'm going to music. The Queen, right there. Damn right you are. Hell yeah. Stephanus, yes, indeed. The most important part of the evening. Yes, absolutely. Anyhow, thank you. So glad you all enjoyed it. And of course, thank you for your appreciation for the real star of the evening. But my goal for the rest of you who have been here for like some time is I hope you were able to hear that with a very changed ear. Because, like, realistically, like, it's fascinating just how different even this, which is probably one of the simpler fantasies that Dowland has ever really done, in my opinion, like how different it is compared to shit, I don't know, hit like the stuff that we were just playing, like the really popular stuff, you know? Like it was so like this was so like redolent of just like contrapuntal harmonic nonsense. There was an A flat in there, but you know that was more my let's call it improvisation. Whereas, for example, like in I don't know, Kaleno, which or how about change thy mind. Like that's how, you know, popular music went on the lute. Whereas Dowland, even in his simpler fantasies, is like, rah, you know. So yeah, so here endeth the today rant. For now. Yeah, exactly. It that's one of the things that I find just so incredible because like you really have to dig, and you know I didn't have to because these guys did the digging for me. You really have to dig to find like the actual popular stuff in like these absurd little manuscripts where lords get their stuff that's like, oh, I heard that tune some guy was playing, I liked it, or teaching somebody to play, and like you give them a simple tune that's popular or something. You don't give them the new flame of the court. You don't give them Lacrimae because that's too complicated, right? So this is the stuff people would actually play and listen to, like Change Thy Mind there, or Clement's Squirrel, which is like right? Virtually no counterpoint. Way easier to play. You could literally just strum along. So, I don't know. That's the rant for today. Also, can we have more in the squirrel genre? Is my other thought. Maybe I should compose some squirrels, or you know, to appease the squirrels. But yeah, so that's sort of my whole shtick. It's like we can hear all this refined music, but what happened to the actually popular stuff? We're not studying the popular stuff because, you know, we're elitist in music history. We know this. Anyhow, I think that is actually a rant video that I have building up at some point in the near future. Anyhow, let me see. I want to give you guys a little bit more to chew on this evening before I go, because I know I have this lovely warm dinner waiting for me in the other room. But at the same time, as I said, I want to give you guys a little more to chew on, as it were. So let's go a little bit more contrapuntal. I think I know what I'm going to do. He's going to try, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to try. We're going to make this happen. Here we go. Yeah. Have any good songs for aspiring bards? Ooh. Let me see. If you mean in terms of like, it would be a lot easier to sing to. You know who you want to try? Like if you want to go like historical bard stuff, if you want to do, what's his name? Campion. So like if you want to go with like some actual historical bard, I'm gonna play my lute and sing. Campion is who you want. Campion's your guy because like Dowland's stuff was pretty exclusively written for a lutenist to play with a singer. Campion's music not as much. So what I mean by that is you could play your own Dowland if you really want to, but it's gonna just drive you nuts because the right hand and the left hand are so involved that if you try singing while doing it, you're probably gonna lose your mind. It's very what's the term in guitar? Punteado? Obsessed. But Campion is actually very doable. I highly recommend. Excellent. So do some Campion. Great stuff for you to mess with. If you want to just practice being, you know, a historical bard. As to my, what do you call them? As to me and my music production stuff, it's a little slow because I got the booster, which knocked me out for a while, and last week was a bit insane, but well in hand, I'll have you know. Yes, rant videos. We want more rant videos? Alright, believe me, I've got more than a few rants, if you can't tell. So we're going to make a foray into this. I wonder if this is going to work now. Yes, this will work for me now, thank God. Let me see. We're going to make a foray into the Forlorn Hope fancy. Something especially contrapuntal, right? I mean, you wanted something to chew on, right? So this should do it. What do they even write here? Bloody hell, this is so different than the Pickering. So... interesting. And that's where we're leaving it, because I have not practiced the Forlorn Hope fancy since it was in my recital. So that is where we will leave it, because this is what we call in the trade a lot of ink. That's a lot of ink, at least for this point in the evening. At this point in the evening, this is more the evening for a fine glass of rum, shall we say. Rum, cider, heated on the stove. Not so much for ink, but perhaps for a Jolly Robin. You totally thought that you were going to get the whole Forlorn, didn't you? You totally... I had you fooled. I knew it. Ah. Yeah, oh, the Forlorn Hope? Yeah, anybody trying it is utterly insane. I can't say I've heard a single flawless performance from anybody. I've heard, like, incredible pros. I think I've heard, like, what do you call them? Like, I've heard Odette do it. I've heard everybody do it. I think everybody's got something in there. It's insane. I mean, it's one of the most incredible works. And if you practice it out and really just nail it, oof, ain't nothing like it. I gotta say, ain't nothing like it. And yet, this speaks a little bit to the reversal, doesn't it? Like, nowadays, those who know the lute, this is our favorite shit. Excuse me. This is our favorite music. Right, PG-13 here, folks, in case you didn't realize. Yeah, this is our popular music for the lute. Interesting reversal. Anyhow, with that said, I am going to call it an evening for myself because I am something a bit famished, and I know I have some chicken that has been lovely seasoned with some paprika and all this other nonsense, as well as wrapped in bacon, plus some asparagus. Oh, I'm getting hungry. So it's waiting for me in the other room, alongside my beloved. And you see this queen right here, she also requires feeding. She is enjoying her concert, but this is her pre-dinner concert, you understand. So I can't keep her waiting much longer either. So with that said, it has been wonderful having you all out here. Toju, Stefanos, Korinsu, it has been a delight having you all chattering away. So thank you again for being the wonderful and incredible stand-up audience that you are. And soon we're going to have this bloody stream upgraded, so you'll see, this stand not looking quite so grainy as it was. And yeah, I'll take your advice. We'll do some, we'll get some, rant videos up in here, because I've got more than a few of those boiling. The devil is in the editing, though, let me tell you. Oh, Nebulas, you tuned in at exactly the wrong time. So sorry. Anyhow, I'm going to go munch. Thank you all for tuning in. It's been a simple delight. Peace out, y'all. Thanks again for coming. Hope you've enjoyed. See you Wednesday. Ciao.